Joining me now is Graham Richardson, former Labor Minister, Premier National Advisor, and Michael Danby, former Labor MP. Great to see you both. Now, let's kick off with Chris Bowen. I mean, seriously, we don't talk about Chris Bowen enough. I think we need to talk about him more. He's been reprimanded by a Catholic priest for eating a bowl of pasta mid-Mass. The Reverend said the welcoming is very important in our faith and our religion, but also the respect for the sacredness of the place is important. Richo, what on earth was Chris Bowen doing knocking down the knocky in a Catholic Mass there?
It's an extraordinary, really, story, isn't it? I don't quite understand why you would do that. That's just a little odd. There are plenty of places to have a meal in Australia, but usually churches are not among them. And I think it probably should remain that way.
Michael, perhaps he was looking to renew his renewable pasta somehow or other. What did you make of this bizarre story?
Well, I'm not a Catholic, but that's just rude. You don't do that at any religious service. Chris Bowen has a charmed life, as you know, Rowan. He's a bloke who told all of the voters when Bill Shorten was the leader, if they don't like our policies on fringe benefits tax, don't vote for us, and they didn't. And he's got all these failed energy schemes, and yet he's promoted upwards. It doesn't make sense, and the pasta incident is typical.
Now, I think we might have a new slogan there, Michael. It could be, if you don't like me eating my pasta in your church, well, don't invite me to your Mass. That could work. Now, on a slightly more serious note, the economy, Richo, seriously, your mob are not doing a terrific job. We found that we've been warned about this capital expenditure crash. So Jim Chalmers' hopes of a recovery in the business sector have been dealt a blow after private investment recorded its biggest annual contraction since 2020, on top of which we've got the news that this ridiculous unrealised super tax, this fantasy tax, is going to hit just at around the time of the next election. Richo, would you be telling Jim Chalmers maybe this unrealised capital tax is not the way forward?
Well, I certainly think at this point of time it's, shall we say, politically risky, extremely risky, and I can't see why we'd bother doing it. So, no, I'm not a great fan of it. And were I having a chat to Jim, I would certainly say that.
Well, Richo, I hope you are having a chat to Jim. I mean, come on, he'd be on the phone checking out, what Richo's got to say on his things, because he clearly needs some advice. I mean, the economy, a remarkable 63%, Michael, of all Australian economic growth since December 29 was driven by the public sector, not the private sector, 63%. Michael Danby, you were a Labor MP in the heyday. What do you make of this? I mean, this is not how a non-socialist country should be operating, is it?
Well, first of all, I'm with Keating on the super tax. He invented a marvellous scheme which got trillions of dollars into Australian super funds, and we shouldn't mess with it. But of course, you have to be fair, Rowan. All of this started with Josh Frydenberg and Scott Morrison's incredible expansion of free money to everyone during the COVID days. So that was a disastrous expansion of the economy. Younger people have become used to it with all of this public spending. And eventually, as with our energy issues, the ideology is going to hit the engineering. The debt is going to eventually force governments to act, and people fleeing from a wonderful superannuation scheme, which I noticed Kevin Rudd was boasting about to investors in Minnesota yesterday. We don't want people fleeing from that. We want the industry funds and the private funds to have trillions of dollars which can be invested, especially here in Australia, but overseas profitably.
So, Richo, you were there as well during the Hawke and Keating heyday. Has Labor lost the plot? Is there too much public sector? They're looking to the public sector for their votes. They're looking to create jobs out of the public sector. At what point does Labor have to recognise that they need to be looking after the little fella, the small business person, the individual? Where is the focus on helping private enterprise in this country, Richo?
I wish I could find it, but it's pretty hard at the moment. Look, I think you're quite right. There does need to be a shift of focus. And I'm sure it'll come, because reality usually has an effect on pollies, and it brings them around, usually too slow, but they get there. Chalmers is a brilliant guy. He'll get there.
He'll get there. Okay, well, that's good to hear. There's a lot of people who are very nervous about their superannuation, Richo and Michael Danby. Thank you so much for coming on.